is program. Wag me.
Sitting here watching this stream today, you cannot underestimate how ahead of the curve you are right now.
Bitcoin looks tired. All coins look hungry.
I'm just not quite sure that Bitcoin has any more solves.
I still think this thing is really worth a lot more than it is.
This stuff's spooky, man. These chaos PRZs are intense.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Solana is highly performant and has the team with the experience to support it.
$4,800 Ethereum. That's a big, big move here.
Whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's Hero Labs Live, early edition by a day and a few hours. I'm going to be flying out to Lisbon, Portugal tomorrow, so thought we want to get one in this week. We better do it on Thursday morning. I've got one strict hardcore hour to spend with you guys, diving into charts, all the good stuff. Then I got to go run upstairs and take care of the baby, who's actually probably going to be sleeping, in which case I can just come back down and drop into the pit and chart and hang out. A couple of things today I want to look at. We're just going to get right into it. We've got, first of all, shout out to Lo-Fi DeFi Radio. Whoever's behind this account reached out to me the other day. They said, hey, heard you were looking for chill streams on your tune. Chill tunes on your stream. And so we're going to fire that up. That's what you'll hear in the background. It's really nice. I love that lo-fi stuff, you know, just in the background, subtle. And this has like nice little sound bites, all kind of to do with, you know, all the good stuff we've been putting out there around, you know, Danny, the Island Boys, sound bites. I don't know, it's kind of dope. So we're going to try that out today, and then we're going to get back into Jedi Hornets SoundCloud once this, I think there's like 5 tracks on the lo-fi one, and then we'll get into some of that energy beats. So shout out to all the guys throwing up the copyright-free music for us on the channel. Next, this could be big. Definitely just a teaser for now. No idea what the source is here. Entity name Grayscale filing what appears to be an Avalanche trust, AVAX trust. So we're going to keep an eye on that. AVAX, of course, breaking to new highs yesterday, sweeping the highs. Has not broken. There's an ENJ chart somebody was talking about in the pit, so I just thought I'd put one together. It actually looks not bad. You know, got the flip. I think their point was like, haha, I just bought the exact top at like 333. I said, well, you know, with enough time, this thing looks decent. It got a nice volume breakout, big consolidation, getting over here to a nice key level and now throwing back to it. So consolidation here very well could age well. I mean, in this kind of market state, that's sort of the setup I look for. Just something that's consolidating post high volume breakout. It's usually where I like to get on board for the next leg. ENJ. Big NFT play was kind of like part of the big 4. I don't know if you guys remember last year, Mana, Sand, AXS, and ENJ. They all like to run and lead the NFT. Now it's kind of lagging. So, you know, I don't have any, but that's probably one I should look at. But what I really want to talk about right out of the gates is Avalanche. You know, how has price reacted to that? You know, I guess you wouldn't call this news, but more of like a leak. You know, 600 likes, 63 retweets. It's not viral yet, but I don't know that that's like, oh, now I'm bullish on AVAX. I already was, but it's nice to see any hint that Grayscale is going to be offering it out at that level. Should put a little buy pressure on it. And last night I got my alert, price discovery, $80. Just kind of swept it and came back for now. But this chart looks strong, and I got to pat myself on the back. I love a good squiggly. You know, I just put them out there, not to be like, look at me, I'm predicting the future. But you know, breaking down from this wedge, I'm just like, hey, you know, there was a lot of people here saying, you know, Russia's going live. We're going straight to the moon, lever up, lever up. And I couldn't help but wonder if, you know, through all this, and a lot of other coins hadn't really made moves yet, and there's like, okay, Avalanche had its turn. Probably needs to cool down and just move sideways for a bit. And often as we see that is just like a trickle down into a reload zone, into a PCZ, something like that. And in this case, I think it like tagged this green box. So not ideal. Obviously, I was looking to really bid it up in the mid-high 40s. But it's nice to see it playing out. And more importantly, now it's like, okay, we're starting to come back. So I'm going to keep this thing on there because if we tag this red box within a few days of where I put it, that's just going to feel cool. It doesn't really make a difference as a trader unless you can execute on this idea, which I'd say I did to like some degree. I certainly wasn't like load heavy, hold all the way through, but I have exposure, stayed long, definitely took some off around here, added some back here. I think I am net less long than I was perhaps right here because I was just like fucking balls long. But it's okay. You know, I've rotated into things like Atlas. I've been putting a big focus on the Solana ecosystem, which I think we should look at today. Probably most of the show, we can start looking at some Solana plays because look at Solana. Look what Sol's doing. Blasting off into outer space. And you never know how high these kind of price discovery moves will go. I think people, you know, generally speaking, they're going to be looking at market cap valuations versus Ethereum. I think there's going to be a lot of comparisons made that way. You know, looking for exhaustion on the final move up, stuff like that, if I want to call tops. But I'm not that interested in trading Solana. It's the king of the Solana ecosystem, obviously. I have a bag. It's not my largest Solana position at all. You know, for better or worse. Like, I think we were trading it back here and buying it back here. And but as it turns out, you know, being a trader, you don't end up in the biggest part of your bags and the highest part of the move. That's just the way it goes. But what I am excited about, what is more important to me than what's happening here, specific like to trading, is Solana plays. The coins in the ecosystem that I expect will perform well. Blade Runner says, what's happening with your ID bag? Bro, absolutely nothing. I made a decision a few months ago to hold ID just no matter what. I have some upside targets, some FA fundamental kind of targets where I think it should be worth over $1 billion market cap, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, opportunity costs associated with that, but I made a decision a few months ago to just like focus on everything else, write it off, you know, focus on growing all the other parts of my portfolio, and I've done that. And what was, you know, a fairly sizable position for me in ID relative is now feeling kind of small. I've mostly forgotten about it, and that's a product of focusing on everything else I had and growing that. And so relative size of that ID bag is shrinking, even though the price is basically flat for the last few months. So thanks for asking. I'm alive, I'm above water, and I'm not that exposed to ID anymore. So that's really, you know, that's the nice thing about trading. I can work on other parts of the portfolio. It's just is what it is. But fundamentally, has anything changed? You know, the thing that sticks in my head is the multi-license. Are their tokenomics perfect? You know, is usage going to drive demand for the token? I can't say. Maybe not. But that's bottom talk. You know, that's the kind of sentiment you get when you're way down, just kind of in boredom town. But there's a lot of time left in this kind of like, you know, well, coin paprika, we want to do better. There's a long-term play here for me. I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. USD, no. So, quick sidetrack to ID, because I know a lot of people know about it. Everest? Yeah, there we go. I'm sure a lot of people know about this coin because of the video I put out on it. And probably wondering like, what's the latest? I honestly haven't followed too closely. This is to me, this looks like bottom accumulation. We see buys typically outweighing all the sells down here. So, I'd be shocked if it breaks to new lows in this kind of market state, especially. But there's a lot of probably heavy bagged people that need to get out before this thing can move. So, and we've seen some of them exiting here. The sells here are just larger wallets just getting out, rotatoring. So anyways, my plan hasn't really changed. Moon or bust. But let's look at the Solana ecosystem, because that's really the only place. That's really the only place I'm looking right now for fresh entries, new trades, because Solana's breaking into price discovery. And there's so many things moving, right? There's going to be some nice requests in the chat today that was like, hey, like, here's this coin, here's that coin. There's so many, guys. It's not about, the Solana ecosystem is the best thing ever. I haven't looked at everything. You can't look at everything, right? You have to, at the end of the day though, you have to zero in on something. You have to come up with a thesis. Otherwise you get lost in the noise and you start looking at leaderboards and you're like, ooh, this is going up, I'm going to get into that. And then, the dip days come and you end up thinking, oh, I didn't have a good plan, I'm overexposed to that, or I just don't like the drawdown, so I'm going to get out. And you get chopped up while everybody around you, who's talking anyways, is talking about their wins, right? So I'm going to zero in on Solana this month. Already have been. Primary focus has been Serum, I think, as the big number 2. It's actually kind of coming into a nice level today. I did add this morning. That's one thing that I got better at over time. Early on, one of my mistakes, one of my things I had to trade journal about ad nauseum was maybe this dip comes in and I miss it, and then I'm like waiting for the dip and then it's like up here and I'm like, oh, I missed it, and then this big move happens, hopefully, on a coin, and it's like I'm not in it because I didn't get the perfect entry. And so I was always struggling to add to a winner, or for example, Solana down, or Serum down here looked a little risky on the high time frames. It had lost a key level. It looked like this was a bearish retest on the daily. I can zoom in for you guys. I just realized some people watch on mobile and they're like, dude, I can't see that. But like, look at this key level here, right? I mean, I can mark it, but y'all probably already see it. So right here, it's like, oh no, we lost level. Oh no, it's a bearish retest. It had a lot of risk. It was the best entry, but it hadn't confirmed yet that it was really going to go back the other way. I figured it would. Solana's in price discovery. Serum's the big kind of primitive over there, but it had its risk. So adding here was more difficult. Adding small here is what I did. And then, historically I would just be like, okay, it's taken off now, I can't. But I'm actually getting much better now at, hey, look, took this trend line back, I'll add at the retest. Took this breakout on volume, okay, I'll add at the PCZ. And so I may end up in a position like this, watching, added here, shaken out here, add here. But I may end up adding 3 or 4 times before, if it does continue to move this way, I may just keep adding little bits on those dips instead of, FOMOing in or just missing out. So that's kind of a new skill that I'm working on, is adding to winners. I know it's like pretty standard stuff. You read a lot of good trading books. They say like pros, add to winners at all-time highs and breakouts and throwbacks, and the public and retail, they like to add to their losers and average down, which is not the way. But for me, it's something it's easier said than done. I'm actually getting into it now, which is nice. So Serum's a big one. I think can perform well and possibly outperform Solana, given that Solana's way up in price discovery and Serum's kind of just down at breakout levels. Atlas is another one. Down here, this throwback to the day, I was just thinking like, how does this not rally, right? It's gaming, NFT, metaverse month. It's a Solana play. Solana's into price discovery. Metaverse is going crazy. It just broke out from this nice W, probably better viewed on the daily. Really nice, launch hype, drip down here, big volume, higher low, breakout, retest. I mean, it had everything that I could ask for in a setup, and then also just the state of the market right now, which is number go up, specifically Metaverse and Solana. So really like Atlas here. Added a bit. So we'll see how this ages. I obviously am looking skyward up in the chaos levels, and I would take some off here. This is not like a long-term, hold bag for me where I have this big broad thesis. Although might be cool to buy some land or NFTs within the game. I think that goes live later this year or quarter or month, whatever. So, yeah, Atlas, probably one of my favorite trades right now. I don't know about this level right here. I think there's a leg to be had here. I personally, you know me, I like to get in at these throwbacks. The Fibonacci, or actually, I gotta pull up that meme. Where is that? It's on my Twitter. Somebody nailed me the other day. I thought it was pretty funny. First time I've been memed, but you know what? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's see if I can. Oh no, we can't see it. Bloody hell, blocking my own meme. There we go. Only buy if there's a 61% retrace or more. Obviously, not fully accurate, but that's what I teach. That's what I preach, and that's not a bad way to be. Would never FOMO given I wish. Praise for crab market. Yeah. I mean, like, hey, fib pong takes half out initial no matter what, 2x. That again, that's what I preach and teach. I'd be probably good to remember that. Anyways, I thought this was hilarious. I laughed really hard. So if you are Anon's mom, Anon's hot mom, thank you for giving me a good laugh. Thought that was great. Yeah. I'm so calm. Apparently I come off as calm. That's cool. If I can convey that to everybody, that's probably how you have to be. I mean, I definitely get anxious. I definitely suffer from the emotions that come with trading sometimes, but it's kind of like do as I say, not as I do, right? It's easier to coach basketball than it is to play basketball, for example. I always use that example because I did coach. I had some success at like the middle school level when I was a teacher, but then I get up to the line to demonstrate how to do the shot. I'm like, technically, mechanically, I can teach you how to do it, but don't ask me to go 8 for 10 on free throws. Hey, where are we at here? Atlas, Serum, Radium. I think I have an old farming bag of Ray somewhere, but like as far as like paying attention, trade bag goes, I don't. But look at this chart. I mean, talk about next leg syndrome. This thing, big blast off the lows, right down into the PCC, just moving sideways, gathering energy, expelling the sellers, accumulating nice buys coming in, and now breakout. So I really should get some Ray. I think I'm probably going to add. Somebody mentioned that on Tulip you can actually stake or LP with like Ray Serum pair. I think that's kind of a cool idea. If you can get some like added yield on just holding those two, it's probably all Total War. I'm streaming early because I'm flying to Lisbon tomorrow, and I'm busy. We have Frog Radio this afternoon, so we're going to be on with Tor Blair of Secret Network, so that should be dope. So I just said, you know what, 10 a.m. That's when I'm going to do it locally. So the 5-year versus 6 months is so true. Yeah. Secret, you're a nice balance between cracked out, messy, and calm as can be, Robbie. Oh, there you go. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think, honestly, we couldn't have planned that better. The DeltaFi kind of lineup, I love it. I genuinely just like hanging out on stream with those guys. And we can just kind of like free roll and hang out and talk shop. And I work with Rob, but you wouldn't know it because day to day, he's doing biz dev and all the, president of Hxro type stuff, and I'm just like content creation mode and trading. So we don't actually get to hang out much outside of that stream. So it really is a blessing for myself as well. Radium. Yeah, I think Radium's going to have to go. It's already on the short list, but yeah, going to keep an eye on that. Mer is weird. I don't know. I'm not that bullish on it. I don't know much about it. Mercurial. I've heard good things, but like, look at the chart. It's not that exciting. There's better. Media. It's weird. It's kind of a liquid, moves slow. Never got that exciting, and then it just blasts. But there's not much liquidity. Mango, on the other hand, holy shit. Yeah, Mango looks good. I have a bag of Mango. Nothing too crazy. Nothing sweaty. So I almost forget about it from time to time. But I have a bag, and this just took off yesterday. Sick. It was like just breaking out when I was looking at it yesterday. So that's cool. Oxy's pretty solid. Yeah, I've heard mixed things about the actual product, the actual tech. And the pre-sale is way up, but it averaged in the summer, sold it here. Probably want to get my bag back if this is going to break to the upside, which I think we kind of know how that goes, right? I mean, you can never know a guarantee what's going to happen, right? Bitcoin, everything can roll over any day. But when you've got an L1 in price discovery, the blue chips, the big projects on that platform they're going to run. And we've seen this consolidation across the board on Solana and the Solana Eco. Steps looks nice. I looked at this yesterday. I remember this one looking good. So this could be good. I've heard a lot of bullish things about this one. Although I went to the website, it didn't look that exciting. So maybe I'm just missing it, or it doesn't matter, and I'm overthinking it. Left, mid curving. Maybe I gotta just left curve it, and it's just like Solana going up. So everything Solana go up. Maybe it's time for that season. It certainly is in some departments, but look at that. That's there's worse places where I could be thinking long on an asset. Let's just put it that way. Nice big breakout off the lows, decent volume coming in. A lot of weird selly volume candles. So it's maybe not the strongest one, but does it come down and give us one more little FU this weekend? Weekends tend to be drippy lately. And it seems to be like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that have been pushing the market up, and then the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday where it's kind of like pulling back. So could we see a continuation of that sort of pattern? And then maybe it's next week. I don't know. Tough to say. But it's one to keep an eye on. It's on my list. Arweave, forever escaping me after... oh God, I think I sold a lot. Like I had some here, and then I sold some on like this dip. Sell the dip, take your profit. So it was a trade. I made some money, but Arweave is one that retrospectively I should have definitely kept the foot on the gas. If not, tried to get another bag through this consolidation, which I was looking at a couple weeks ago on the stream. But it's looking good. It's one that I'd love to have a long bag on. I don't know, like, given where it's been and how many times I just passed on it, like, I feel silly going in now. Like, I'm going to be an investor at $72. Like, I struggle with that. But it's definitely going to stay on my list. FIDA, absolute god candle yesterday. No idea what that was all about. But it's basically leading or keeping pace along with Solana. FIDA is a really strong one. So... can I get in here? Can I get in at this throwback? Probably would if I could, just to have, even like a reasonable size bag right at the 618, which I figured might be the case. So you get like 893 FIDA. Is this going to be the top? I don't know. Certainly not the sexiest location of all these, but if we're looking at a big long rally for Solana, FIDA's probably going to get to play in that party. Frog Radio is not an everyday thing, Robert, but we are doing one a week. And then last week, obviously, Danny had a last-minute change of plans. He wasn't able to make it on the Friday, so we pushed him to Tuesday. And then today is kind of like when we would have usually just done it. So think of yesterday as like a replacement episode, and then episode 2 is going to be today. We're going to just keep that pace going. Yeah, we should look at the LDO chart. Kobe Coin, check Tulip. Yeah, Tulip was moving. Where is it? Maybe I'll check it on CoinTrader Pro. Tulip. Tulip City? Yeah, I don't think that's the one. No. Where can I chart Tulip? Soul Farm, I guess? Is that what that is? Soul Farm? Yeah. Saber is really nice. I added a pretty decent sized bag of Saber. I don't know if we talked about that yet today. I might have glazed over it, but this is probably my favorite Solana bag right now. It's not my biggest. I think Serum's probably a little bigger, but more just because that's more liquid, and you can play with it a little better. It's probably their biggest project on Solana is Serum. So, okay, fair enough. But as far as like chart, and then yesterday started averaging back in, probably, I think I'm like a 23-cent re-entry, and very pleasant surprise today to see this nice big volume candle coming in. And that's breakout volume. Now, this to me, obviously, location-wise, doesn't look like, oh no, we're at the highs, like this is a top. So, having said that, these kinds of things can go on for a while. So I'm not sure I'm like rushing to ape even more today at this level, but I do think at the very least, I'll be able to get sort of a big fib pong location. Let's see if I reverse, put them on the right, put a little shade on it. I think at the very least I can probably trade this thing up into here. And that's if it's just going to be like a big stupid, like, oh my God, I'm bullish, but I have a lot of coin inflation coming and unlocks coming. Like, that's like the low key, like bull case. Whereas obviously what I'm really looking for is like, new highs eventually. So, but I mean, it's tough to go wrong when you're playing down in these high time frame reload zones with coins that are growing in users and TVL, and also part of the Sol ecosystem that's just like mooning right now. Remember, Solana leads. So it breaking into price discovery is more of a signal to me to start thinking about those rather than like, oh my God, I'm going to buy Solana because it's mooning. You know, it's a great way to end up in the slowest moving horse. The real signal is once that L1 is into price discovery, let's start looking at its eco. So I guess I've conveyed that already today. Serum, you can chart everything. Oh, okay. Yeah, I should do that. Will it respell ICE time charts? Yeah. Obviously. Time is looking good. It's looking really good, actually. And I'm starting to see videos on TikTok, which is exciting. I don't look on TikTok, but someone says Wonderland is around. TikTokers found Wonderland. So I went and looked, and it's true. There's a lot of walkthrough guides on how to buy. What could go wrong? But nice volume coming in as we test this 9K level for the third time, right? Set the bar, test the bar, test the bar. So look, this is the kind of coin that when staked is such a high APY that any kind of range is extremely profitable. You know, as a time holder, I don't care. Like, it's great when it goes up. I love when it goes up. Defying gravity, 70,000% APY, and still finds a way to move up in price. That's sick. But if it decided to range, and we talked about this, Messi and I talked about this even around like 6,000 and 9,000. You know, even if it has like a $3,000 range, if I'm just holding through that, you know, skimming rewards here and there, whatever, paying myself, that's sick. I mean, anything but just like bleeding out on the street for time is very profitable. If it blasts into price discovery here, oh, buddy, that's insane. And, you know, Danny obviously talking on Frog Radio this week, hinting about the idea of pivoting into a DAO structure that would be an investment vehicle for Frog Nation that, you know, through governance could make, you know, investments and sort of, I guess, I don't know what the word is, like incubate different projects over on AVAX specifically. And that's like 200 million. I think yesterday actually it hit like 300 million. I mean, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to be swashing around. Let's see what it is. I'm going to look here on my other screen. The treasury is now $340 million. I mean, you can do a lot with that. And if that all gets socialized across the holders of time as like a DAO, where it's like you're holding a share of the DAO by holding time, and then if any profit or growth or whatever, you can cash it out, it's reflected in the price. I don't know how that all works. To be honest, that's a bit above my head, but that's the idea. And if that involves taking away this APY so it doesn't become this like hyperinflationary token over time, and it's really like a scarce asset that's, you know, got as many as it's got and there's never going to be any more and blah, 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 or something. I don't know. But anyways, this is all stuff to be proposed and voted on. Really excited. And interestingly, the discussion of taking away that APY, pivoting to a DAO structure, actually started this push out. You know, I was a little unsure. I was like, oh, how's this news going to go? The market likes it. The market decided, you know, we'd like to be invested in that. So that's cool. I think that's awesome. Yeah, ChartX. Yeah, no, look, ChartX, All Total Wars is complaining about ChartX. I'll say two things on that. First of all, they came out with a 30-day trial for AVAX. So they launched AVAX. They said for 30 days, you can just have it access for free. And I thought that's smart. AVAX is hot right now. They're going to draw a lot of users in. And at the end of the 30 days, they're going to be so hooked on ChartX for their charts, they're going to want to pay. Fair enough. They provide a service. We don't have to pay. We can choose to. You know, if they want to turn around and say like, okay, then don't use our chart service. Where else are you going to chart? And I'll be like, damn, you got me. Probably can't, right? CoinTrader Pro is free. Problem with CoinTrader Pro is that it is not very good at live price action. You don't get to see it live. It's all slow. So it's great for high time frame charting and getting lots of chart history on older coins. But good example is like Badger popped yesterday out of nowhere. I mean, out of nowhere if you're just staring randomly into space, but like it popped to like $80 on Coinbase and $60 on a lot of places. You don't see that move here because it was gone before it was even recorded on CoinMarketCap. So that's one example of where like this one struggles a bit. On the other hand, ChartX, you know, directly based on the blockchain, you can actually see the transactions coming through, and that's pretty cool. So you got to pay for it. Look, I was holding the premium account with 200,000 chart tokens, which is like 1 ETH or something. And it's annoying, you wake up, they're like, now you have to pay us cash. But whatever. I sold the chart tokens for like 1.4 ETH. So a fraction of that gives me a year. That's basically like 6 years of subscription. So not too bothered, but it was a little bit annoying. And now if I'm on my phone in bed, I can't, I'm not logged in, so I can't go and see AVAX tokens. So it is annoying. I'm with you. But it is what it is. Like, we should just build our own if we think it's shit. But we won't, because it's pretty good and we just need to use it. So pay the man. You can chart AVAX on TradingView now with Pangolin Exchange. Oh, interesting. Max Pain on Chart X. Okay, let's go. Let's see, what's Joe? Uniswap, Pangolin. Okay, so they've added Pangolin. We need to get them to add Trader Joe. That would be dope. We could put a request in. TradingView is pretty good about that stuff. On-chain data is probably a trick or API for them to work with, but I think we could do it. So let's all hit up TradingView in the support tickets. Please add LeJoe token. LeJoe exchange. Nomics has better uptime than ChartX. Okay, cool. Kevin, do you mind sharing a link to that? Kevin says Nomics has better uptime than ChartX. That's the other thing. Every time anything moves, ChartX just shits the bed, and it's really frustrating. I will admit. I'm trying to defend their business model, but at the end of the day, all complaints are valid. It is a struggle fest. And in my mind, they have such a monopoly on this, not probably because there's other ones you guys know about that I don't, but I'm like, why wouldn't you just do everything you can to buy the extra servers, whatever it is, whatever it takes to have max uptime, crush this game. You got to move fast. And then them taking out their chart token is weird. They mentioned something about a cloud service that somehow that token will be relevant still, but I don't know. Let's go see. I think it's sold off. I mean, I know I sold mine. Yeah. So this is people exiting their chart. It's not that bad. Didn't hit new lows or anything, but yeah, so maybe there is a use case for chart token. It's certainly a good location to be thinking long on any random asset. Whether or not I think it'll get a rally. Yeah, not really. All right. Joe put the request in yesterday. Okay, sick. Crypto Dynasty has confirmed Joe is requesting access to ChartX. So look, guys, let's take a look at, we're about halfway through the stream. Let's take a look at the some other soul plays. What else do we got? I know Tulip, which I couldn't find. Is that? Yeah, that is Soul Farm. Okay, so I was finding it. Yeah, Tulip's moving. It's funny. I didn't know what it was. Somebody mentioned the other day because of that Serum Ray pair, you could LP. So I was actually going to look into Tulip. And before I looked into it, just to use it, I saw it on the leaderboard. I was like, oh, damn. Oh, hot damn. Tulip's moving. So let's keep an eye on Tulip. I actually just want to stake over there. I don't know if I need the token. But in the meantime, we've got Ice. Oh, Ice. Ice baby. Looking really good. Nothing really to do here for me, I think. All right, we're going to switch over here. Thank you again, Lo-Fi D5 Radio, for the tunes. We're switching over to Jedi Hornets, vibey, energy, whatever you call this kind of music. I like it. It's really chill. I hope the music levels are good for you guys. They're not too loud. You have no idea the pain I feel when I, where am I? There he is. You have no idea the pain I feel when I finish a stream and I'm like, oh, that went so well. Yes, feels good. And then I go watch the first 2 minutes just to check things and the sound is off. And I'm like, oh no, poorly delivered everywhere. So hit me up if the music is something loud, quiet, whatever. Ice just looks good, man. It's a fundamental play for me. There's so much potential here for the LPs to load into Popsicle and drive percentages. There's a good thread I put out this morning that I just kind of copied over. Read through this. It's on my Twitter at randomtask555. Papillon put out an analysis of Popsicle. The idea that we should really be, and this is what I'm doing, is thinking about not, trying to value it in terms of percentage of TVL from a number of different AMMs. Once those are locked in, what implications does that have for token price based on fees, buying back ICE, holding blah, blah, blah. And then to also factor in that instead of selling the ICE to realize those gains, you can sort of lend an ICE against on Abra and borrow MIM and sort of access your funds that way without having to sell your principal. So I think that there's a lot going here. This is not news. But for those of you who asked, yeah, nothing's really changed for me. I'm not, I have these levels on the chart because that's how I chart, and I'd like to see what happens at them. But I don't have sell orders working at 71. I don't have sell orders working at 123. Would I look to maybe rotate out of some of my position here? We'll have to see what the market looks like at that point. Obviously, even though I expect the yields and the rewards to be incredible on this, and I'm really thinking of it as a more longer term passive income, because if we hit like Uniswap's market cap, then this thing would be like a $1,200 coin. So yeah, I'd like to trade sometimes along the way, maybe, but I'm not sitting here like, hey, when it gets here, I'm all out of my ICE tokens. Like, I love the model here, and I'd like to see what it'll be worth next year, end of next year. Do we have a big bear market? Are we all living in the fractal universe of 2-year bear market? I don't know, we might be, but I'm not going to assume we are. I'm going to wait for the trend to change and things to get really gross, and then maybe like look to exit on bounces. That's not specific to ICE token. That's just like a general positioning play. I think there's a bigger chance that trying to call tops on this market is going to leave me on the sideline for the best part of the bull run. More likely than, me trying to call tops on this market arbitrarily and then just being right, and it's like, oh, look at that, I called the bear. I think the probability is higher that I can just, ride the trend, and when the trend changes and it's clear as fucking day, I sell. I get out. I shore things up. Spell and ICE time, they give a yield, so it's a little bit different, and that's why that's why I'm so exposed to them, because I don't feel that same need. When price goes down on a token that's otherwise useless, and then you're just like, well, I have zero reason to hold this now, I think I'll just get out, take a loss, small profit, whatever. I've been doing my best to stay into tokens that are either providing a yield or just fundamentally looking undervalued. So on dip days with these coins, the only thing I think about is like, can I add here? Which is like a lot of coins I don't have conviction on those dip days. It's very hard to just hold through. You're like, oh, this is where I'll skim today, just in case this is the top. Silly thinking, but I'm being honest here. Curve is another one. Look at this action around the pump, or the chaos PRZ. Love that. I mean, I hate that it put the top in for now, but I love that, when TA works. So bing, bing, bing. I don't know if it's all these apes now learning the chaos PRZ that just said this is where I exit, but for me, this kind of huge consolidation is it's got a lot of energy built up in it. It's something that, like the big chaos is take the low, take the high. That's the that's the centerfold. That's the sex shot. So let's see where that takes us. That's ridiculous. It's the higher ones here, $17. Like, I don't know. But this consolidation just breaking out on some volume to me is like the beginning of another leg that could last mid to long term. So this is another one I've got staked over on Convex Finance, CVX CRV. Pretty decent bag, not looking to trade it. The fees are too high to pull in and out of that thing, but certainly thinking about adding if we just, move sideways through this around the mid threes. I don't see why I wouldn't after this kind of a big consolidation in that breakout. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Yeah, Kevin Wiener, I think easily ICE is in that top 50, and that's the story, right? It's always with these coins. It's like, if they deliver on their promises, they'll be this. That's always the case. The difference with ICE is that they are providing a service to people who are already here. It's not like some app or some game or something where it's like, I hope we get users. They're taking something that there's millions of users already with billions and billions of TVL, which is LP positions, and they're offering them more yield. Hey, how'd you like to double, triple, quadruple what you're making off what you're already doing? Park it over here. We'll take a small fee. Have a nice day. I mean, and so it's like a ready-made user base, and that's what excites me about it. And then all the whole like with abracadabra and overlap and multiple AMMs and chains. What's not to be excited about? So I bet the hedgies nuke the market after BTC 100. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I'll tell you what. Bitcoin price action is not going to play out the way we think. Whatever that means. Obscure, abstract, but it's true. It's going to go higher or not get high enough than we ever imagined. So I'm just here for the ride, playing level by level, chasing the trend, following the trend. and not trying not to overtrade. I think for the most part, we're just sitting in probably pretty good positions and can just wait for invalidations, trail it up, that kind of stuff. Yeah, James asked a good question. He says, why do you chart against USD and not BTC or ETH? For the sake of the stream, my day-to-day, I am charting against USD because it's just simple, it's repeatable, it goes across. Now, if I'm thinking about taking on a large position and I get deeper into a specific trade idea, I might then go and chart it against ETH or Bitcoin to be like, okay, so I love Serum, for example. But is Serum going to outperform Ethereum? The thing is, I'm not sitting in Ethereum. Right? So it's not like, ooh, I'm balls long on Ethereum. Now I need to find something that's going to outperform it or I don't want it. I have Ethereum, but that's not my base pair, right? My base pair is USD because I can capture yield on it. It's a stable asset. And so I've got it, in this case, I'm lending it out on various platforms and getting a little yield. And so if I'm going to move out of that USD, it better be into something that's outperforming USD, in which case, trending up versus it. You can get into the nitty gritty and say, like, I want an asset that's outpacing Bitcoin and ETH and USD, and I only buy those. But admittedly, I don't go that far into it a lot of the time. And if ETH goes on a rip-roaring run, I may look back and say, okay, 3 or 4 of these assets I'm holding were outperformed by Ethereum. I have less Ethereum now than if I had just held Ethereum. But I don't, it gets complicated. There's so many moving parts. If I'm up in USD, I know that's like cliche, but that's my base pair. That's what I'm trading against. But there is something to be said for even doing things like, let's try like Sol. Let's try this. Divided by Serum. I'd be curious, like, I'm so long on Serum. Ooh. So is that Solana versus Serum? Yeah, so like, I'm buying Serum here, but it looks like Solana's been outperforming the shit out of it. So that makes sense. So I guess what I'm saying is, when I go pick up, I didn't actually chart that before. Somebody's like, you should try that. But when I go pick this up, it has been trending down for a while. And that's part of, the setup here. I think it's going to start moving. Does it move with Solana and it's just caught up? Am I overcomplicating my life? Should I just be long on Solana and shut up? Maybe, but I'm not buying, I don't buy assets here. I just can't. It's a simple rule. I don't do it. And for the most part, it keeps me out of trouble. I could have set some bids here, could have been fancy, done that. I did pick some up through here and I have a bag. But again, this is more of the trigger for me to go find SOL-based assets like SBR, probably my favorite one right now. Not on Coin Paprika though. Paprika. Like this one. Can we take the roof off this thing? Sure. For illustrative purposes. We're coming into resistance here, so I don't think it's like a huge place to be going long, but any pullbacks on this chart after this kind of volume breakout, I'm going to add. BTC price has changed. PA has changed, yeah. Amir, that's it. At the end of the day, I'm going to spend dollars. At the end of the day, I will measure my success. Just say we do go into a bear trend like May, June, July. It doesn't have to be 2 years. We'll never know, right? You don't get to know like, oh, this is going to be the 2-year bear market. Nobody even during the 2-year bear market knew, right? There was all the way through 2018, 2019, there was people that were like, yeah, this is it. Every little pump was like, oh, that was the bottom. Nobody knew, right? There was people that I worked with at TRI that I was learning from that were like, all these little rallies are just a downtrend. I was just learning at the time. And when it finally did reverse down at like 3,200, they were on it like a pig on shit, like flies on shit. They were on it. So I hope to be able to do something similar. And the next time we go into a little bit of downtrend like we kind of did in the spring. But let's say we do. I will measure my success based on the amount of USD that I was able to maintain. Not Bitcoin, not Ethereum. Sorry. Some people will do that and they're the super long game. But I will measure my success in the amount of dirty, gross fiat I was able to secure, and then essentially can lend and farm and hodl and essentially like, yeah, if these majors go into a downtrend someday, my amount of those majors that I have will go up relative. If you have $10,000 worth of USD and Bitcoin drops 50%, you just doubled your Bitcoin if you go buy. That's kind of what I'm thinking, right? That's my plan. So yeah, I will definitely be measuring my success in USD terms. Other people, they're just like, I'm here to accumulate Bitcoin because it's going to go to $10 million someday, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I've sat through too much drawdowns over long periods of time to live in Bitcoin. I've learned that lesson the hard way. And obviously, if you look back, you could say, but RT, had you just lived in Bitcoin through the whole bear market, you'd be up 3x from the highs of 2017 right now. Yep. So different strokes for different folks. James, I got into trading. I got into crypto listening to a Joe Rogan podcast. And it was interesting because I randomly went, and my buddy said, you should listen to Joe Rogan. He's dope. And I was like, cool. So I Googled Joe Rogan podcast. I saw there was like 300-400 episodes. I said, how the hell do I even find one so I Googled best Joe Rogan podcast episodes. And the number one hit at that time, it's not now, so I was very lucky, was an interview he did with Andreas Antonopoulos. Bitcoin Jesus, or whatever we're calling him these days, and he's an educator, and he's just a brilliant human being. And I listened to the whole thing, and I got interested, and it was May 2017, so there was like a crazy alt season happening. So the more I learned, the more interested I was, and then I aped in with all my life savings, which was very small, $2,000. And I think hodlers who get wrecked become traders. I was doing a bit of trading right out of the gates, but this whole idea of like, oh, I'm just going to accumulate this coin and wait for it to go to the moon. I learned the hard way that doesn't work on Stratus. I want to see my first. I'm sure everyone here is dying to know what my first bag was. But real talk, this was it. This was the babe of the bull market in 2017 right here. And so I picked some up. You can imagine the community was like frothy at this point. It was like bag holder, like Link Marine, like it was intense. And why not? Thing friggin' ran from it was like 600x its ICO or 200x, I don't know, some crazy return on its ICO. So I discovered it somewhere in here at a couple bucks, and then it ran up here. I did end up getting out here. I just panic sold, not knowing what I was doing. And but I learned very quickly through this, because we tried to buy it back for so long. I was a community member. It was like, hey, yeah. And then eventually, obviously at the end of the year, it went crazy, but then look. So this kind of stuff will make a trader out of anybody. You just start to learn that, for me, trading is about not being the market's bitch. I don't want to just be on the whim. Yeah, Crypto Dynasty remembers. I don't want to just exist and make money or lose money on the whim of the market. I want to be in control of my outcomes. I want to be able to make decisions of when to get into things, when I think they're undervalued or trending in the right direction, and then when to get out of things when I think that the party's over and I don't want to sit through the other side of the market. But long story short, I just don't like the idea of the market getting to decide how my day's going to go. Obviously, in the end of the day, it still does, but at least I get to make the decisions. So I have no one to blame but myself if I go ape into a coin at its highs and it rolls over the next day. But if I can Saber is even a good example. I was buying Saber around 24 cents right here. So I somebody on Twitter, they're like, it would have been nice if you told us when you bought it, because I said it here on Twitter, but that's where I bought it. I missed all this, right? And then it just did nothing for a little bit, and then it popped, and I actually, I wasn't paying close attention, but I did end up selling around here. Hey, great trade, cool. Didn't give a shit about all this, totally ignored it until volume waking up, looking interesting, Solana going to price discovery, ooh, nice breakout. And now I can get back in, right? So all this time, I can put that capital to work somewhere else. And there was a lot of heat through October. I mean, this was basically me getting out and moving into the AVAX ecosystem. We all saw what that did, right? So yeah, if you know what you're doing, if you can really commit to the process, trading is incredible. But it's hard, and most people don't want to do the work. And I admittedly skip a lot of the work early, and then learned the hard way, and then did the work ad nauseum, every little thing, and now have gotten back to a happy medium. I do some of the boring parts of the work, other times I just kind of ape through, but I never fuck up the risk. And I take a big loss and I'm sweating it, I'm pissed, I'm fuck, that was a bad trade, and then I look, I'm 0.5% loss. like getting into that mindset. I never end up, you know, risking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% of my portfolio on anything. And that's something I can't take for granted. A lot of people do, I realize, but I've got to a point where I don't. And that's been big. Don't let your emotions make decisions for you. Now, having said that, if the whole market drew down 30%, my total drawdown on portfolio would be like 30%. I'm very long. But on any one specific trade setup, I don't get wrecked, which I would highly recommend. All right, we're getting into the last 10 minutes. The chat's really good right now, so I'm just keeping up with the chat. Hit my vape. Yeah, don't be someone's exit liquidity. Trading is hard as fuck. The problem, Ben, is that trading without a plan, most people just, yeah, I'm trading, and they're buying things that are hot and they're selling things when they're not. And that's the opposite, right? I distinctly recall October 27th. It was a very sketchy little move, right? Bitcoin, everything. There was like a little mini liquidation cascade. AVAX in particular that night looked really gross right here, but like that was the throwback. So on that scary night, on that moment where everything's like, oh my God, was that it? Was that the top? Complacency shoulder, now we're headed down. You got to have a plan. When this moves up from here, I'm not going to chase it. Okay, this is the breakout level. I will plant bids here. Did I? Right? Like I said, am I disciplined 100%? Do I follow my plan 100%? No. So that's something I can work on. The market has been very forgiving for me the way I'm trading right now, so I haven't been motivated to get back to my brass tacks. But based actually on this, I decided for sushi, I'm going to actually just follow my plan, which is to bid the shit out of this level. And yesterday it started to move. I was like, fuck, I'm actually going to miss this. But didn't change my bids, didn't change my alerts. Still waiting on sushi. I've been waiting through all this. I said, when it breaks out in volume, I'm going to buy that PCZ. And so I've loaded it with bids. We'll see. We'll just see. And you have to be willing to miss it, which is part of my meme that I got teased about. Doesn't care if he misses a guaranteed 2x as long as he followed his fibs. But in this case, I'm actually just getting back to that a little bit. Because if we get a dump day into this, I want to remember that I'm trying to get long on a sushi, not like suddenly like, oh no, it's down 12% from my entry. I gotta get out. I'm charting on ChartX Pro for Avalanche tokens. ChartX Pro and CoinTrader Pro is another good one. This is free, and it uses CMC data, so it's not as up to date, but it's still good. Oh yeah, FET. We should look at FET. Somebody mentioned FET today. I forget where. But, it's an old Binance IDO. And, guess I was charting it last December. Damn. Whoops. What a sick run. Okay, let's start fresh here. Yeah, FET looks good. Yeah, I always think of FET like in the same vein as I think of like Harmony and Cellar, CELR, just because they were all like these early Binance launchpads. And there was a time when the Binance launchpads ran in unison. They were like a little category, a little sector. So with one, bear with me here while we jump around a bit. One is starting to move, starting to move. It's been moving. It's going hard. The latest highs came in on less volume. Buyers are starting to lose interest up here. Can we get a continuation? I don't know. High risk entries around here. I don't love it. Seller has been ripping, or it was. Now it's just in its like drawdown phase. Probably in the PCZ. Let's go see. Let's go see that PCZ. Yeah, it is. So, an area where as a chaser I might start to get interested again if we can secure, but I'm not gonna add this. I don't know if there's enough narrative here. I like the Solana stuff better. But for what it's worth. So let's go back to FET now and figure out how the hell this all relates. Yeah, that's an interesting level. That might be a spot dip through, but obviously if you want to see a really strong continuation, this is probably the area that you don't want to see it break below. And then going back to FET, right? These three used to all move together. Clearly they've broken apart now. They're a little more robust. You can actually differentiate them now. They're not just Binance launchpads. But yeah, look at FET. Ooh. Pop, drop, consolidate, breakout. Nice volume. FET is looking good. Something to do with AI. Somebody mentioned, I think maybe it was in the research actually. Research request in the trading pit today. Somebody asked me to look into FET. I think that's what it was. So maybe I should, because this chart looks really good. I mean, forget everything else. You just have this series of like higher lows. These are gross because I'm going to rush them, but yeah, a series of higher lows and then a breakout. So like basically now it's probably a nice bot setup here, but yeah, any little mini PCZ within a PCZ, see? Something like that could be really nice. And then, you know, even if it's just a nice simple fib extension for like a nice conservative continuation trade. I've been playing with the 2618. I haven't traded it yet, but a buddy of mine said, you know, as a next extension, he likes that level. So I keep it on there if you're wondering. But there's a setup here. What if I just risk to these lows? Not bad, 9 to 1. I risk $1 and make $8.94 if I'm correct. So that's the idea, I think, here for FET. Be curious if they have anything coming up, or if it's like a platform you can actually use. Do they have a bridge? All that stuff. That's the year we're in now, right? White papers and MVPs don't cut it. You got to be in there with the grease. So I'd be curious. Yeah, Vineet asks, you know, thoughts about Harmony ecosystem right now. Can't comment on that. You know who you should ask? Coach Popovic. He's the producer for Frog Radio. He's got a Twitter. Should find him. He's actually over there. Let's look him up. This guy, and he's also our intern over here at Hxro Labs. This guy is he's into Harmony. He's over there. He was pretty early. He said he's been enjoying some of their projects. So I'd say hit up Coach if you are, you know, follow him, and then maybe hit him up in the comments about his Harmony takes, because he's the one who told me about Harmony at wherever it was, 17 cents, 18 cents. I didn't buy because I'm stupid. I looked at it, I said, yeah, that's dope, thanks for sharing, and then I put it on my watch list, and then I forgot to buy. So yeah, FET looks good. I like this setup, and I think I might, you know, I'm not trying to get too spread out, because that's when you get those big dirty drawdown days of 10-20%, and you just, it's uncomfortable, like unnecessarily uncomfortable, where you then feel the need to maybe skim positions on dips instead of whatever. So I don't want to get too spread out, and I am already. But I think we're back. Oh my God. Okay, guys, I think we're back. Hey, I've officially discovered the problem, and I fucked it up today. I forgot to turn off my firewall, but it just reset and asked me to like allow access to Wirecast. So maybe now it's fixed. But yeah, that's what happened. I hope we're back. We back? Yeah. My bad, guys. So it looks like the good news is I've actually probably figured out the fix to the internet, which you noticed yesterday we didn't rug. Last week we didn't rug. And then today, in my haste to get ready for the stream, I didn't turn off the firewall. The firewall seems to be the issue with the gateway. So fixed for today. But from now on, I just have to remind myself, flip off the firewall for the streams, flip it back on after. Damn you, Windows Defender. Or maybe there's a way to just allow Wirecast, which I just did, so maybe that's it. But anyways, we were going to switch over to Secret, right, as we ended. I don't know how much of the FET you caught, my rambles. I can never tell when I went off, but don't matter. We're back now. FET, Secret just looks good. Secret looks good. So this was the signal, right? Breakout through the trend line on volume. It's like, oh, high time frame trend reversal. Just took its sweet ass time. This is a daily chart, so it was like September 11th. It didn't move until October 1st, but that didn't bother me. I was adding. It was easier in this case because I just have such a strong thesis with privacy layer DeFi. Yeah, I do have the Vax 2 doses from a while ago, and it's actually stupid. I won't get into it, but I booked a flight through a third-party app. Never do that. Hopper is a cool app, and it's like giving you cheap flights. But what they do is they just group together random flights to give you, like, you know, and I try to avoid layovers. They weren't offering any direct flights to Lisbon. So I thought they were aggregating everything. So I thought, oh, there may be not a direct flight for me, so I'll just take this layover. It's in New York, which on the way there is fine, so I'll just take that still. But on the way home, I can't go through New York if I've been to anywhere in Europe, which includes Portugal now. So I literally am not allowed to take the flight that I bought on the way home. So I booked another direct flight home yesterday. It's a day later. It's going to throw off my plans a little bit. It's actually my lady's birthday the day I was supposed to get home, so now I'm going to miss it. But it is what it is. And she's like, yeah, like, don't cancel your trip. It's just a day. We'll party on the weekend. So, but yeah, stupid COVID, man. Traveling is just still a headache. You got to get your COVID test, and it has to be just the day. And then when you're in the place you're traveling to, you have to get another test to get home. And yeah, but it is what it is. It's going to be a fun time to be there. It'll just be the transitions that suck a bit. Secret looks good. Let's zoom out, because you know there's oh god, let's go to the weekly. There is kind of an all-time high here that we're just chilling above. Not an area obviously where I go and say, hey, that's undervalued. Like, I think privacy in DeFi is a hugely undervalued idea. And I think Secret is probably leading in that sense, even though it's just getting started from a development point of view and TVL point of view. But there's all this stuff coming along, like IBC over in Cosmos, Interop should give them more outlets. There's fiat on-ramps being developed, so it's not so tricky with bridging. You don't require something like Binance to get there or whatever. There's already a bridge that's decent. So I struggle, as you guys know, to be like, hey, this is where I'm going to go add. But there is something to be said there. I'll tell you what's the most exciting about Secret for me from a trade perspective is this. I mean, this weekly chart just looks so sexy versus Bitcoin. And it looked even sexier back here 3 weeks ago, but it continues to look sexy. The problem is now I'm already long. I have a position that I built up over a period of months, and I'm just going to be holding it for a period of months. Watching this right now, we're at resistance. We're at this big weekly resistance that marked the low of the March 2018 dump, and then marked the high of the April spring rally. And now we're right back there. So this is absolutely not, from a trade perspective, a place to be thinking I should start making a long position. Just FYI. But, is there a way to find setups within here along the way? Of course there is. Somebody's always buying, right? If price moves up from any level, somebody bought there. It's fascinating to me. But as a trader, this is probably the next most interesting place for me. Versus Bitcoin. If I'm having some Bitcoin, I think this is going to outperform. That's where I might go. Versus USD, probably some other. They just launched their BUSD pair, so they finally have a fiat pair, which is nice. Versus USD, probably a little deeper of a pullback. Do we get down into these levels like some of the other coins we've been seeing today, Seller and all that? Maybe. It's less about saying I think price will go here and more about saying I know what I'll do if price does go there, which in my case is probably add a little bit. Find a nice dip. Algo is a great example of that. This is one that I keep telling myself I should get and I haven't yet. But like this, right? Big, strong move. Can't buy up there, but look, we're down in this level now. We're just kind of chilling, moving along in this PCZ. Where do we go from here? I don't know. Looks bullish. Looks like the next major leg from this would be up. Obviously, there are many cases where you just do this and then the market shifts and you end up back in a reload zone and you just, oh no, it wasn't what I thought. And so we manage risk. And so we learn to invalidate things at these lows, for example. Size it so that invalidation at that lows and selling doesn't ruin us, that kind of stuff. So does it do this? Yeah, that's less likely. I think there's a greater probability that we just continue here for whatever, and then it's just like, and then we have another kind of an ABCD at the very least. Because I bet Algo is actually coming out with some products soon. Maybe there already is stuff you can do there, like DeFi and bridging over. But even an ABCD like that, to me, seems more probable than like a big drippy reload zone. But it's really, you never know. But that'd be pretty sweet. That'd be a sweet little harmonic trade. So what does that look like? Something like this. Risk to that low. Can I get? Yeah, it was almost $5 for every dollar that I risk. That's not terrible. It's really good, actually. So that's my thinking on Algo. So Algo is another one that I just keep saying, right now it's opportunity cost. right? It put a high in September 13th. Hasn't done fuck all since, almost a month and a half, 2 months. Putting everyone to sleep right now. But when this goes, the longer this consolidation lasts, the bigger the next move will be. And if it's up, even better. So there's your chaos from this consolidation for now. Or arguably you could draw it here. Oh my God, they're matching. Amazing. So that's a strong level. 390. Can I get a $3.90 algo token by the end of the year? Maybe. That's like right here. That would be interesting to see if we get there. Apparently my squiggly agrees with the timing. So keep an eye on algo. Algo and FET, I think today are probably my takeaways for like really nice move and now consolidating. We'll do one more quick look at FET just so we can summarize. Very similar setups, right? Strong move down into this level, breaking out of volume. I think FET is actually looking closer to like go time. It's already had its little breakout. Some nice volume starting to tick up again. Yeah, FET and algo. All right, guys, I've got to get going. I've got to get upstairs and look after the baby for a bit. I said I would this morning, and then I booked a stream because I'm a dick. But then I said, okay, I'll definitely make it an hour. So anyways, I've got to get going. We're going to flip back to the studio. I'll be in Lisbon for a week. So there's going to be no DeltaFi next week. There's going to be no Hxro Labs Live next week. I'll be back, I guess, the following week because I'm flying in now on the Friday, not the Thursday. So otherwise I might have done like Hxro Labs Live next Friday. But it'll be what it'll be. Okay, guys, so have a wonderful week. I'll be live, probably have a little time in the Discord. Might do some Twitter Spaces stuff, and we might have some unique content coming out of the Solana conference as well with the team. But whatever you do from now until next time, guys, whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Take care.